Welcome to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Hello and welcome to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. I'm Lauren Bolander with Captain Rick Murphy. Hey, Rick.
Hey, Lauren. How are you tonight?
I'm all right. I'm extra excited because we have Dave Farrell back at the workbench.
I'm back from Africa.
This is scruffy, Dave.
Yep, a little skinnier too. You don't eat as much in Africa.
No.
No. It was good though.
It's good to have you back.
We caught some blue marlin.
Isn't it?
Oh, great.
We caught a few.
I'm looking forward to talking
No 10
about
a day, but we caught some.
All right. Well, it's good to have you back.
It
good to
is.
be
The
back.
skinnier, scruffier Dave. Ooh.
You know, Lauren, we're going to talk about snappers this week. And like we always do every week, Lauren, we got to sit down and talk about some pictures. Our viewers sent in, I bet you we have 40 or 50 pictures. The yellowtail snapper, always a snapper that is ID'd by the yellow 14-karat gold stripe. The other that has been sent in by Captain Henry Hotch out of Port Canaveral, beautiful yellowtail. The next photo is a beautiful mutton snapper that was sent in by John Wiggith from Orlando. And this is what happens to a family when they go out fishing. They catch beautiful yellowtails. It looks like they got a nice load of yellowtails there. But then also from Joseph East, this is what ends up happening when you have that family out. We make a fish taco. And you know what?
Joseph could have sent some of
That's
those
right.
this way.
Next time, Joseph, you're going to bring
Send
it to
them
the
in.
set in order
Bring
to get
them
that
on
in there.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, guys, we're going to start tonight off in our La Jolla region. That's the Florida Keys. That's also where we find Captain Randy Towle. And that's where we're going to kick it off with our snapper chat. Hey, Randy.
Hey, guys. Good evening. You know, bottom fishing and fishing the reef is one of my favorite things to do down here. Mangrove snappers, yellowtails, mutton snappers are the primary targets. Now, mangrove snapper fishing is a little bit different than yellowtailing. Similar area, maybe a little bit shallower, 30 feet to 50 feet. And when you chum for the mangrove snappers, you don't have to chum as heavy because the mangrove snappers aren't going to come up to the surface like the yellowtails do. So try to keep your chum down to a minimum and get your baits down near the bottom. A 3/8 ounce hookup is good with a piece of fresh cut bait, a live pilchard, a live pinfish, something like that. Get it to the bottom, and you're going to have these mangrove snappers bite. Now, if you're going to fish for yellowtails, you're going to want to be chumming a little heavier. You're going to want to throw your oats out, and you're going to see the fish come up from the bottom, and they're going to be behind the boat. You're going to drift a bait back with like a 16th ounce hookup with a piece of fresh cut bait on it or a silver side, and you're going to catch your yellowtails that way. A little bit deeper, maybe out to 65 feet, you're going to find these yellowtails. And then we go to mutton snappers. Well, they're in a lot of different places on the edge of the reef, around structure, out in the deeper water, and especially if you've been chumming for any length of time for the yellowtails, you want to drop down a ballyhoo because chances are there's a mutton snapper in your chum slick. If you want to target them and move offshore, you want to get your ballyhoos. They're going to come up while you're anchored down chumming, and take those live ballyhoos out to 140 to 160 feet. If you're around a wreck, that's good. They're not on structure, they're around structure. So get near it, put your baits on the bottom, a long leader, and you're going to catch some nice mutton snappers. I've got a photo of my buddy Sean with a nice yellowtail we caught, and then also Chairman holding a nice big mutton snapper. That's some of the stuff we have on our reach down here in the Keys.
All right, Randy, before we continue offshore, I want to take a look at the Navionics, and we got 3 charts to look at this week, guys. Now, we're talking about the Matacumbi area and also Alligator Reef. Now, the one thing that comes to mind is in the way these charts work, as you see, you have different colors in blue, dark blue, and light blue. Now, as you go further offshore, the colors change. So let's take a look at the second chart. The one thing that now Navionics is doing is they're giving us all these sonar soundings, as you can see here. By looking at the third chart, we can get a real detailed area of Alligator Reef. Now, what I really see here, guys, understand that when you're looking at these charts, as the lines get smaller and a lot tighter, that means it's more like a great drop-off. So we go from 20 feet down to 50 feet, and then also a sloping bottom as you get out into this area here. All right, Randy, let's continue your offshore report. What do you got for me?
You know, we got to talk about the sailfish bite. It's June, it's tarpon season, it's dolphin season. You wouldn't think there would be some sailfish around, but this week we've had an amazing color change out in about 300 feet of water, and it's been a green water up against a Gulf Stream 4 knots to the northeast current. and this color change has produced some really good sailfish action. If you can get the live bait, that's the key. Live pilchards, ballyhoos. A lot of these fish are tailing. They're tailing to the southwest. They're going down sea. Captain Alex Adler on the Kalex out of Bud Mary's, I talked to him the other day. He caught 13 sailfish on this color change. Captain Paul Ross on the Relentless, also out of Bud Mary's, caught 12 sailfish all in the same day. And also the Silent Hunter, a boat out of Marathon, came up this way around the Alligator Reef area, and they caught 27 sailfish one afternoon on this color change. So the color change has been happening. It's red hot.
All right, let's go inshore, Randy.
Snook fishing in the backcountry, you know, this time of year, a lot of guys are tarpon fishing. They're slacking off the snook and the redfish bite. I can tell you, I've done a little snook fishing in the last few days just to do something different because I'm in a little tarpon slump here. And the snook fishing for me has been pretty good. Around Flamingo, the low tide has been better for me when the water's down pretty low and you're fishing some of these runoffs, and around some of the islands, I've been using a 3/8 ounce hookup with a live pinfish, and it's been producing some nice snook for me. I've got a photo of Charlie Knowles, who fished with me, and this was one of the big snook we caught that day fishing these pinfish.
That's a nice fish, Randy. What else you got for me inshore?
Tarpon. We got to talk about tarpon. It's still tarpon season. We've got another big tarpon tournament coming up next week, the Gold Cup. As you know, last year you won that tournament, and it's probably the most prestigious tournament of all coming up. So the tarpon bite is still pretty strong right now. The bait fishing guys, they kind of do their own thing. They're using live crabs. They're using mullet if they can find them. Around the bridges, a couple of nights ago has been really good. Tonight, I'm sure, like last night, it's going to be another great bite on live mullet, and these guys are catching some pretty good fish around the bridges still. The fly fishing guys, we're dealing with conditions of overcast and some thunderstorms, so the visibility is a little tough, but there's still fish moving on the ocean. A lot of these fish are going north now. They're making their migratory track, going back up the road, but still plenty of tarpon around to throw at.
All right, good job, Randy. I want to wish all the guys that are fishing in the Gold Cup next week the best of luck, and go Wardo. All right, so anyway, I want to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Florida Keys region. Captain Randy says, inshore, sailfish. Look for the color change in 200 to 300 feet of water. Slow troll with live baits for sails. Go into the blue for those dolphin. And then offshore, we're going to go ahead and go snook, fish the low tides around the Flamingo. This is our inshore report. Fish the low tides around Flamingo in the northwest. And use live pinfish on a 3/8 ounce hookup with the 40-pound leader. As you can tell, we put those in the wrong box, and I'm going to probably get fired for that, Lauren.
It happens.
Yep, it does.
You spend some time in the wrong box?
All the time.
It's all right.
All
Instead,
right.
let's take a look at what tournaments are going on in the Keys. First off, the Mercury Marine Ladies Dolphin Championship is scheduled for June 28th to 29th in Key West. More than $10,000 is offered in cash and prizes benefiting the Jose Wahebe Foundation. Also, a grand prize of $5,000 cash is awarded in the Key West Gator Club Dolphin Derby. The event is set for June 21st to the 23rd and helps fund scholarships for local students planning to attend the University of Florida. And hosted by Super Bowl MVP Ray Lewis, it's the University of Miami Hall of Fame Dolphin Tournament. June 28th and 29th in Isla Mirada is where you can win a $3,000 and participate in the charity auction. And finally, the 13th annual Dolphin and Blackfin Tuna Fun Fishing Tournament is set for June 29th and 30th in Marathon. Cash prizes are awarded for those with the 3 heaviest dolphin, as well as Blackfin Tuna and Wahoo.
Yep.
Good stuff, Rick. All right, now let's hand it over to Andy Newman in the Florida Keys. We're going to find out what he's got for us on our feature tournament. Hey, Andy.
Hey, Lauren, and we're going to keep the focus on dolphin, talk about the Isla Mirada Dolphin Tournament. It's set for July 12th to the 14th. A minimum of $10,000 in prize money, divided among the top 3 boat teams with amounts awarded based on each team's 3 heaviest dolphins. And there's a $1,000 cash prize sponsored by KRB Boats. That's going to go to the angler who catches the largest dolphin on a Yamaha outboard-powered boat. Prizes also awarded for largest blackfin tuna, largest yellowfin tuna, bonito, wahoo, and kingfish. Much more information on the Isla Mirada Dolphin Tournament and so many other tournaments and events in the Florida Keys on that Florida Keys website. It's flakeys.com, Rick.
All right, thanks, Andy. We're going to go ahead. Where are we going? Let's go talk to Jim.
Yep, Captain Jim Ross. He's waiting for us in the Central East. And Jim, it sounds like the mangrove are more common for you. Is that right?
Oh, in the Central East region is, the CCA region. We love our mangroves. That's the species that most anglers are going to find inshore and offshore in my region. And the inshore fish are generally found next to some type of structure. So, bridge pilings, jetties, rocky ledges, different things like that are good places to find them. Small bait fish or shrimp are on a one-aught hook. I prefer the little VMC short shank models. And a split shot is really about all you need to catch mangrove snapper. Our average fish is running about 8 to 17 inches in length. But Captain Glenn Austin also tells me that down in the Sebastian area, he can catch keeper-sized mangrove snapper on the grass flats, especially in the fall time during the mullet run. Now, our offshore fish are a little larger, and they put up a really nice fight on medium weight gear. And most of the guys are fishing those fish on the reefs and wrecks in 60 to 120 feet of water. That's where they tend to hold the best throughout the year. Live sardines or cut sardines, grunts, pinfish, menhaden, any variety of cut baits can be good snapper baits. You just need a standard knockered rig or a standard bottom rig on most days. But one of the tricks that the guys in my region and gals like to use is they like to chum those fish up off the bottom. And once they get them up behind their boat in the chum slick, it makes it a whole lot easier, and to catch them, and it keeps them from getting cut off down in the structure below. Once again, we go with a little piece of chunk bait, 1/0 or 2/0 size VMC short shank hook. We drift it back in that chum slick and hold on. Most of those mangrove snapper are going to range from about 3 to 7 pounds, but we get fish over 10 pounds during the summer months on a real regular basis. Now, the other thing that we have this week is king mackerel. Anglers are running to the closest reef line in their prospective inlet and slow trolling live baits. So 60 feet out of Sebastian, 75 to 90 feet out of Canaveral, and about the same out of Ponce. Now, the kings are moving around from day to day, so you really got to check a couple of different places on the reef line until you find a good school of those fish. But we're coming up on this next moon. We're going to get those big fish. They're going to be roaming the inshore waters and around the beaches. They're going to leave those reefs because that's what they do when they go to spawn. Now, the average king mackerel right now is running about 14 to 20 pounds, but this week, some smoker kingfish between 20 and 40 are definitely coming in. And I saw Dusty at the cleaning table the other day with one that was topping 40 pounds on the tight work boat. So those are some pretty nice fish that we've got roaming around in there right now. Now, last week I blew through my report really quick, and I forgot all about my bass photos. So I wanted to include them this week because Jordan Cosmos up in New Smyrna shows you how to do it right with a Port Orange worm, and she basically took that fish out of a little pond that is in that Port Orange area, just fishing with those worms. And she's an avid angler. She loves to fish with her family and her dad, and that's a prime example of what we catch in the New Smyrna area when it comes to those bass fish.
Pretty fish.
Now, my inshore report, we've got snook. And even though they're out of season, the action's really good right now, Rick. We're fishing under the lighted docks from Grant southward to Vero Beach. And we're looking for docks that have glass minnows or some other kind of bait fish around them because those are the ones that are holding the most fish right now. Now, you want to stay a little farther away from those docks. Don't get too close because you'll spook the snook. So plug casters seem to be doing really well when they're throwing the Miradines or the Rapala twitch and wrap lures on those outer edges of those lighted areas. And then you can throw DOA shrimp in the glow color or the assassin shrimp cocktail in the clear color right into those lighted areas and do really well. Our average dock snook is running right around 20 to 27 inches, but there's a few larger fish being landed in that area right now. And then the other species we have inshore is one that we don't talk about a whole lot around here, but we have a great bite of them going on right now. You can use live or sand fleas or live small crabs. And the sheephead around the residential docks right now in the Indian Banana River are absolutely outstanding. Overall size for these fish have been a little small, just under the legal size to just barely over the legal size. But the Cocoa Beach and Satellite Beach canal systems also have some nicer fish that are running up into the 18-inch range, pushing 5.5 pounds. You need a short shank live VMC bait hook, some 20-pound test Suffix fluorocarbon leader, and like I said, those little sand fleas or those little shrimp. The average sheephead is still, a good fight, but those big fish are going to be hard to pull away from some of those docks sometimes, so that's why we go with that 20-pound fluorocarbon leader. Now, my other photo that I have during the report this week is of Daniel Delator. And Daniel, I'm going to stop by and give Daniel some Rapala lures because if you see this fish that he caught about an 8-pound bass here on a half of a lure.
Wow.
And he needs some Rapalas, so I'm going to stop by, His dad and I grew up together, and I'm going to stop by and give him a care package because we can't have that. Rapalas don't do that.
That's
and
right.
Whatever he's throwing, he's got to quit throwing, so we're going to get him some Rapalas.
All right, great report from the CCA Central East region. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots inshore. Speckled trout on the flats in the Banana River, no motor zone. Try Rapala skitterwalk plugs or live fingerling mullet at dawn and dusk. And then offshore, king mackerel are striking. Slow troll live baits on the 8A and Bethel Shoal reefs, Lauren.
Okay, stay with us, guys. On the other side of the break, we're going to head to the southwest. And Dave is going to take us off the deep end. Remember to try your luck at winning a sea of cash with the new Florida Lotto Guy Harvey scratch-off ticket featuring a top prize of $50,000, over $20 million in instant cash prizes, and Sportsman Paradise Second Chance promotion, which includes the chance to fish with Guy Harvey himself.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by the Florida Lottery, Yeti Coolers, wildly stronger, keep ice longer, best parts, best prices, Bennett Auto Supply, Captain Harry's Fishing Supply Company, Chevy, the IGFA, conservation through education, get your hands wet, and Olukai.
Listen, this Chevy Silverado is not happy. It's not happy because it's not doing anything, because it knows you have a to-do list with unchecked boxes, because it was built to constantly be on the prowl to get more done. Patience is not the Silverado's virtue. Doing is. The dependable, reliable Chevy Silverado.
It's 200 streamlined horsepower of Yamaha forward thinking. The all-new F200 inline 4-stroke. Whether you're an offshore angler, pontoon cruiser, bay boater, or walleye hunter, the responsive and fuel-efficient F200 combines amazing power and versatility in one incredibly compact and lightweight package. The all-new F200. Legendary Yamaha reliability and the freedom of forward thinking.
For over 30 years, Guy Harvey has masterfully captured the wonder of marine wildlife in his artwork. Now he's sharing his inspiration with the Florida Lottery by creating 12 exclusive images for the Collector Series Guy Harvey Scratch-Off game, featuring a top prize of $50,000 and a second chance opportunity to fish with Guy Harvey himself. Celebrate the beauty and riches of Florida with Guy Harvey Scratch-Off games today. The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
In Key West, you can get close to nature. Close to history. And really close to the band. In fact, Key West is close to perfect, but far from normal.
Now let's go over our news and notes from the FWC. June 15th is the Lake June Bass Tournament. June 17th through the 20th is the Plant and Bug Camp at Chinsegut in Brooksville for kids ages 8 to 13. June 22nd is the Women's Fishing Clinic in West Palm, and June 29th is the Kids Fishing Clinic in Cape Canaveral. You can find more information at myfwc.com. Now it's time to go off the deep end.
You know, every week, welcome back.
I'm happy to be
Welcome back
back.
to the Jägermeister Workbench. This is where you make your living.
Yeah, well, I got to try to talk about 3 different snappers in this little time frame. So we're going to start off with the yellowtails, and I set this rig up here for, this is a typical yellowtail snapper rig. I kind of learned from Randy Tao.
Yeah.
I went down there and fished with him. You know, we don't catch a lot of yellowtails up here where I live in the Cape Canaveral area, but we use little fish finder rigs. This is a little hookup jig, 16th ounce. And we were putting, you know, a bunch of chum out. He brought a lot of chum, so we had chum going on some nice patch reefs in about 50 feet of water. Always had to have current. If we didn't have a good current, we weren't getting bit. So that was one of the things that Randy, every time we'd stop at a place, he'd check and see if we had some current first before we'd start fishing. And once we decided we had some current, and we'd start putting our
So
baits
what are we
out.
going to put on this?
Well, we would put a little a line sider on there.
A silver side?
I mean, a silver side, a little silver side on there, or a shrimp.
Oh, okay.
You know, we would put even a live shrimp on there backwards, you know, just so his head's facing the other way, and put him on tail first, and let it drift back with all the chum. And usually once he got deeper, you know, that's when you get the yellowtail bite. There'd be a bunch of little other stuff sometimes pecking on it, but as soon as you got down deeper a little bit, that's when you get a good yellowtail bite, and it'd crank. The biggest one I ever caught was a 5-pounder in West Palm. I caught it on a whole ballyhoo. So when a yellowtail gets big, it will eat big things. I caught one that was a monster on a double hook ballyhoo on a headboat out of West Palm. I gave it to my future and father-in-law, and I think that's why I got married, because I gave him that big yellowtail snapper. If I'd have gave him a pot of gold, he wouldn't have been as happy as he was with that big yellowtail snapper.
So Dave, one key thing, is there one thing you can do to increase your odds? Everybody always says just keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. As soon as you stop it from drifting.
You know, I always let it go and let it go and let it go until I hit the bottom. And then I'd start all over again. Obviously, there's a lot of little tricks to use to get your chum dispersed from the top to the bottom. A lot of guys will put their oats in their chum. You can use a different size chum bag. You know, all the chum bags come, you can see they have different mesh sizes. You know, you got a larger mesh size and a smaller. If you want your chum to last longer, you put it in a smaller size hole. And if you got a ton of chum and you wanted to get it out real quick, use a bag with a larger hole in it.
Now all this chumming, same approach for mangroves over on the Gulf or anywhere. So
right. Now,
let's talk about mangroves.
Well, mangrove snappers, you're usually going to catch those instead of out on a patch reef in real clear water. You can catch them in the backcountry. You can use, they're like the panfish for saltwater. Now this one, this hook and this rig is for fishing for mangroves, black mangroves. We call them black snapper, offshore at night in 100 feet of water. An adult mangrove snapper has gone from the little fish that we're trying to catch for our kids, you know, that weighs 1.5 pounds in the backcountry, to 10, 12, even up to almost 20 pounds. We catch them in Cape Canaveral at night.
Wow.
Yeah, and like you say, you chum and chum and chum, you can get those snappers coming up pretty good. Even at black snapper will come up a little bit off the bottom at night. And then you don't really have to worry about all your terminal gear as well. You can use a lot heavier stuff. But anytime you're going to be snapper fishing for any of them, for the muttons, the mangroves, or the yellowtails, it's best to use a fluorocarbon leader and the smallest line that you can get away with. Now, this is the bait that I'll use when we're offshore trying to catch the big snappers. We'll use either a whole live one or a cut one that's not, it's a larger one, cut in half. But I like to use a big whole live one. And there are plenty of bridges in the intercoastal waterway where the water gets deep enough, 40, 50, even 60 feet. You can catch big black mangrove snappers on those bridges with big pilchers, live pilchers. You just let them go all the way to the bottom and then let them eat. And use a big circle hook and let them eat, let them eat, let them eat, let them eat, and then start winding. Let them eat for as long as you can, because if you start jerking on it, you're going to come back with a lot of heads and no snappers.
That's good advice. That was the fastest 4.5 minutes.
It went pretty quick.
Man.
And now you got all this stuff.
I know. Speaking of quick, Lauren, you're the quickest girl I know, so where are we going?
Well, I'm going to take you there, but I'm wondering how many times in one segment can Dave call you a chum bag, Rick?
Yeah.
I know. Oh, it's rough. It's a rough one. I'm going to settle this with Captain Ron Houston. We're going to send it over to him. Please tell us how and where to catch which snapper in the Southwest. Ronnie?
Well, obviously, it's always a pleasure being here. But you know what? When you look for the muttons, you want to start looking for the muttons over in my region, concentrating in depths of anywhere from 70 to 130 feet of water. You want to concentrate looking on wrecks and ledges, especially where there are sand depressions on the outskirts of the structure formed by current flow. Once you locate these fish, typically a 5/0 circle hook with 3 to 5 ounces of lead, depending upon the current, 50-pound fluorocarbon. The baits choice can be ballyhoo plugs, live thread fins, or cigar minnows, and just clipping off the tails of the cigar minnows before you send them down. Now, for the yellowtails, they can be located starting in depths of about 60 feet, and right now, with the calm winds we're having and the heat, especially July and August, is a good time to start fishing for the yellowtail. You want to concentrate on looking for these yellowtails around towers, springs, and ledges. Obviously, I'm sure you'll hear about it for the rest of the show, all through the region, chumming to draw the fish up, and dropping back small baits like live pilchards or small cut baits like squid, shrimp, and obviously we want to be using light fluorocarbons. Now, mangrove snappers can be located 5 to 35 miles out. Some of the better times of the year, December through March, especially when we get a bad blowout of the west, the weather gets cloudy and the grouper fishing gets tough. Mangrove snapper fishing can be best, and obviously we're fishing for these fish around wrecks and ledges, and we're chumming these fish just like the yellowtails and dropping back live pilchards and small cut baits, also using live fluorocarbons so the fish don't figure out. But once you get the fish figured out, and once you get the yellowtails and mangroves start feeding, Lauren, what's the most important thing you want to do once you chum these fish up and get them going?
Chum.
Come on, Lauren. You're supposed to be reading, don't over chum. But anyway, anyways, I got a picture of a red snapper that was just caught in the region off the Vindictive. That's Oscar Ordialis with Captain Mike Avanon. Good shot with the red snappers. Now, with the calm weather we've been having and the hot temps, permit bite has still been great. They can be caught all through the region. It's just a pattern you're working on most wrecks and towers starting at 6 miles out and beyond. Picking the moderate weather like we have is the best way to start catching these fish, and staying away from most wrecks right now with an abundance of sharks due to the fishing pressure and hot water temps. Run and gun bite. Once hooked, fishing light drags to get them away from the structure. Most anglers, key baits have been live crabs and plenty to be got. Fish are averaging right now and getting a little bit bigger, anywhere from 15 to 30 pounds. Now on the inshore bite, the redfish right now from Sanibel to Cabbage Key, all along the western side of the intercoastal, and on the west wall in Charlotte Harbor due to the wind direction. Early morning has been the key with the cooler water temps on the outgoing tide with top water plugs, top water walk the dog lures in bright solid colors such as pink, orange, purple, and green. Common colors guys don't buy and walk by and look under the shelf. Also gold spoons. Also, due to the heat of the day, you guys can work those same areas at the top of the high tide using cut baits such as mullet, ladyfish, and blue crabs are also working late in the day, tight to the mangroves. Typical size of these fish right now are anywhere from 20 to 30 inches. Now, with all the heavy rains we've been having right now, there's been a good, impressive snook bite, although there's plenty more to be gotten. Everglades backcountry right now from Hurdle Creek to Two Island Bay fishing wind-blown points, cut-throughs, and feeder creeks with heavy water flow due to the rain. Windier shorelines have been producing more and better fish. The Bass Assassin Vapor Shabs and Green Moon, Violet Moon, and Baby Bass. Also chugging lures in black and gold, chartreuse, and red and white. Also a variety of small topwater lures, 3 to 4 inch, and lip plugs that dive anywhere from 2 to 4 feet, especially on the wind-blown points. Same colors as the topwaters. Typical size right now, 22 to 32 inches, with sometimes getting some fish right now over 35 inches.
All right, good job. Midnight, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Southwest region. Captain Ronnie recommends this weekend that you might want to go inshore. Juvenile tarpon from Buttonwood to Barren River early in the morning on the outgoing tide. Concentrate on the feeder creeks with heavy freshwater flow using small topwaters, lip plugs, and 4 to 5 inch soft plastics. And then offshore, red snapper, scamps, red groupers, and 125 to 150 feet of water, rock piles, and ledges using whole squid, grunts, and pinfish for bait, Lauren.
Okay, stick around, guys. When we return, we're going to check in with Mike Holliday in the east and Jeff Hageman in the northwest. And as always, remember to check out our website, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter at ChevyFIFR TV. Plenty more to come on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report.